Morning guys, wannabe welder here. Well, I'm going in for a few more welding certifications this morning. Fun fact, I've been welding for like 17 years and I've never got my Fcaw certs. Anyways, I have my stick welding certs, but I do a lot of Fcaw welding, but it's very rarely has to be certified, but get a few more people wanting it now, so I figure I might as well go ahead and get it taken care of. So anyways, I'll kind of show you the process. I'm taking it at RNS Welding Mentors here in Salem. They got a little shop here. I've gotten other certs through them in the past. They're reasonable and make it a pretty easy process. Anyways, follow along. So I got the 3G and the 4G set up here. This is the route. They watch you run the route and inspect your route. They just make sure it's wetted in both sides and you're one pass. Here's after a couple passes. I think there's 3 in there. Here's, I don't know, there's probably 6 or 7 passes in there. And it's stacked up. Alright, this is just before my cap pass, so show you how I set it up. I'm just below on each edge here. I'm a little heavy here, so I have to be careful to not overfill it. Top side's looking alright, other than a little bit undercut right there, but put on in the cap and call it a day. Alright, this is how it ended up. We're going to come in and do a visual inspection, and if I pass my visual inspection, that's how I cut it and then test it. Anyways, this is how they look. You can't underfill it, you can't have over an 1/8 of inch overfill. I'm a little heavy here, but I think it'll work up here, and then pretty nice. I wish I was a little bit heavier on this side, but I think it'll work. Alright, well, we're done. Passed the visual test. They're going to come in and bend them tomorrow. We'll know for sure if I pass tomorrow. Anyways, it took about 2 hours to get two coupons done. You saw how I had it set up, and I was doing 2 at a time. It worked out pretty well. I could let one cool while I was doing the other one, but we probably could have got it done a little bit faster. I was scheduled to do another test, but I have somewhere to be. I got here and decided I'd run a few practice passes and worm tracks and porosity, and I could, no matter what combination of settings, I couldn't get it out. And I've called the owner and the instructor in, kind of told them what I was doing, and they said, well, do this, do that. Anyways, it made no difference. I knew what was wrong. I knew it was in the wire. I kept hinting to him, like, well, how long is this wire here? In here. Anyways, finally the owner's like, well, let me run a few. Well, the owner couldn't run it without porosity and worm tracks. And I said, it's in your wire. And he says, well, do you want a new roll of wire? I said, yes, please. Anyways, he went and got me a new roll of wire. Anyways, whole different story. Ran really nice after that. Problem we have in the Pacific Northwest here is there's so much moisture in the air. If you let a roll of wire sit out, it'll pick up moisture, and then once it's done that, it'll just put it in your weld and cause the worm tracks and porosity, and the only way to get it out is to bake it. So anyways, I told them that, and they said, well, this has never happened before. I said, well, anyways, they said, I guess we learn something every day. But I learned that myself in my own shop. I couldn't figure out why my dual shield was doing that. And if you let it sit out too long, it'll pick up a lot of moisture here in the Pacific Northwest. Anyways, I'll let you know if I pass them tomorrow. Have a good day.